Something's happening right now. SNAP benefits are slashed, the strongest storm in history is unleashed, and President Trump is rumored to be seriously ill. You think that's a coincidence? Now, before you answer, let me update you on everything that's been going on around us. And the first thing we need to talk about are SNAP benefits, because it's pretty clear now that nearly 42 million people in this country who rely on these benefits won't be getting anything in November.
The Senate is voting for the 13th time to end the shutdown, but it's expected to fail again. Officials are warning food assistance programs for low-income Americans are set to run out by the end of the week. Now, millions of Americans are questioning how they will get enough to eat.
Rep. Amelia Sykes said, quote, "We know that people are going to suffer if we don't open the government. People will go hungry." Well, she knows it. She's causing that hunger, but let's put a point on this. In an ABC article regarding the 42 million Americans that are going to lose SNAP benefits next week, Joel Berg, who's the CEO of the nonprofit Hunger Free America, said this, quote, "We are going to see the greatest hunger crisis since the Great Depression."
Obviously, people are freaking out over this on social media and posting why this is a terrible thing for this country.
If you are naive enough to think that the pause to SNAP benefits on November 1st isn't going to affect you because you don't receive food stamps, I want you to hear this. About 1 in 8 Americans receive SNAP benefits. In fact, in Oklahoma, where I live, that's 1 in 6 people. So about 600,000 people in my state alone, Oklahoma, receive SNAP benefits. About 1 in 4 children in the U.S. receive SNAP benefits. But you're not one of those people, so you don't care. But hang with me. When those benefits go away, just about $9 billion in grocery spending vanishes. So you've got to be thinking about not just the grocery stores being able to stay open and pay their employees, but you have to think about the entire supply chain.
I am a single mother who relies on SNAP benefits. I live in a women's shelter with my 2 children, one of which who will be 5 next week, and an almost 7-year-old. I work. I am continuing my education so that I can be the person that gets us out and gets us on our feet. But while I work and while I'm working to continue my education, I am restricted by their school schedules, restrictions imposed on me from living in a women's shelter. We have curfews that we have to abide by. We have to be inside the building at a certain time. I cannot have childcare come to me if I needed to pick up an extra shift. So SNAP benefits are what gives me a footing.
Look, you are free to make up your own mind about this, but before you do, let me just show you the numbers. The 4 states that'll be hit the hardest if SNAP benefits are cut are New Mexico, Louisiana, West Virginia, and Oklahoma. In New Mexico, nearly 1 in 4 people rely on food assistance, and losing it would trigger a full-blown hunger crisis. Louisiana sits at 19.5%, still recovering from years of disasters and economic chaos. In West Virginia, 18.2% depend on SNAP, mostly elderly and working-class families who already live on the edge.
One recipient and veteran says this assistance means everything.
If it wasn't for my church, who pays half my rent, I'd be homeless. SNAP helps me get things that I need.
She says without it, she'd have to choose between paying for rent or food.
It's going to be rent.
And in Oklahoma, 17.2% of residents rely on those benefits just to get by.
Hundreds of thousands of Oklahomans are at risk of losing essential benefits that puts food on the table for their families. Well, according to the Oklahoman Human Services website, to be eligible for SNAP, you must be a U.S. citizen, must meet certain work requirements like working a certain amount of hours a week, or be looking for a job unless you meet one of their exceptions. You must also meet income standards and provide Social Security numbers for everyone in your house.
Surely you've noticed that 3 out of the 4 states that'll feel the pain from this decision the most are Republican strongholds. So the real question is, why would a Republican-led government let its own voters suffer? You also got to remember that almost 40% of all SNAP recipients are children. That's 17 million kids and school-aged children, or roughly 1 out of every 4 kids in America, depending on government assistance just to eat. Add to that the 4.8 million elderly Americans who rely on these checks, and you start to understand the scale of this. For most of them, the SNAP benefits are the only reason they can put food on the table.
Most of our clients are elderly, and they depend on those SNAP benefits. And so it's more important than ever for us to make sure that we are packing bags of groceries for them every week,
following tomorrow's delivery.
So when they don't get their SNAP benefits, they may be dependent only on what we can fit in one grocery bag.
For a week.
For a week.
Now, after seeing these stats, it's no surprise that some lawmakers on both sides are suddenly scrambling to pass emergency legislation to keep the program alive if the shutdown drags on.
Here is Manu Raju asking Republican Senator from Missouri Josh Hawley if the president should step in when it comes to the lack of funding for food stamps or SNAP. Take a listen.
This is Congress's fault, not his fault. This is Congress's fault. So when it comes to SNAP, the only solution here is we need to appropriate the money. I mean, that even if he could put a Band-Aid on it, he couldn't pay all of it. So we need to appropriate the money.
But here's the twist. The USDA has $6 billion in contingency funds just sitting there. Yet officials say they can't touch it because according to them, a government shutdown isn't an emergency.
SNAP benefits are run out after this week.
Yes.
The USDA said they're not tapping into a contingency fund in order to ensure those benefits get paid. Do you think the administration should tap into those funds or find other sources in order to ensure that money's American?
Well, look, I can tell you the administration has worked, as you all know, very creatively and very hard to limit the pain on the Americans because of the Democrats' shutdown. And the SNAP benefits is a unique situation. I got a summary of the whole legal analysis, and it certainly looks legitimate to me. The contingency funds are not legally available to cover the benefits right now. The reason is because it's a finite source of funds. It was appropriated by Congress, and if they transfer funds from these other sources, it pulls it away immediately from school meals and infant formula. So it's a trade-off.
And Mike Johnson, he agrees with that decision. Look, he might be right, but I can't shake the feeling that if this were about funding another war overseas, Speaker Johnson would move heaven and earth to make it happen, rulebook or not. The truth is, your credit affects everything. The car you drive, the home you live in, even how much you pay every single month in interest. Most people don't realize it, but your credit score can literally determine how much money stays in your pocket. That's why one of the smartest things you can do right now is start building your credit the right way. And that's exactly where today's sponsor, Kickoff, comes in. Kickoff is the #1 credit building app on the App Store, and it's designed to make building credit simple, safe, and affordable. There's no credit check to sign up, no interest, and no hidden fees. Plans start at just $5 a month, and your on-time payments automatically get reported to all 3 major credit bureaus. Here's what's wild. Users who started with credit below 600 saw an average boost of 25 points in their first month, and up to 84 points after their first year just by making those payments on time. And that's what makes this so powerful. Better credit means better interest rates, easier approvals, and more financial freedom. So if your credit's holding you back, Kickoff is one of the easiest ways to build it up. And right now, they're giving 80% off your first month, which brings your cost down to as low as just $1. Just click the link in the description or go to getkickoff.com/hustle to check it out and start building your credit today. Now, let me know what you guys think about this, but right right now, we need to talk about Hurricane Melissa, because as of right now, it's officially a Category 5.
People in Jamaica are bracing for what's predicted to be the most destructive hurricane on record to hit the Caribbean island. Category 5 Hurricane Melissa is bearing down on the nation. Forecasters say it's likely to cause catastrophic flooding, landslides, and widespread damage.
They're already calling it the worst storm to ever hit Jamaica since records began. In fact, if you look at the barometric pressure inside the eye of the storm, it's even lower than Milton, making Melissa the second strongest hurricane we've recorded in October or November.
Yeah, this is Adam Berg. He's giving me this
Pressure
information.
is now down to 896.
Oh, my Jesus Christ. Okay. All right, I'm going to hold it together here. So 896 millibars is stronger than Hurricane Milton when it made that run last year.
Melissa's going to go down into the history books as the strongest hurricane that we know of to ever make landfall, the strongest landfalling hurricane that we know of in the Atlantic Basin.
Once again, the question is, why the hell are these record-breaking storms hitting us one after the other?
What is the policy vision?
Every Jamaican is consuming goods and services above the minimum acceptable national standards and has equal and equitable opportunities and support to achieve and maintain income security and improved quality of life.
What are the policy goals?
The national poverty goals are to eradicate extreme food poverty and reduce absolute poverty to significantly below 10% by 2030. These goals are fully aligned with the Vision 2030 Jamaica National Development Plan, Jamaica Social Protection Strategy, and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
Now, as you can imagine, whole neighborhoods are completely underwater in Jamaica.
Hurricane Melissa making a direct hit on Jamaica. The Prime Minister declaring the entire island a disaster area, many parts cut off by flooding, and power is out across nearly 80% of the island. At least 7 people are known to have died, but that number could rise as emergency workers comb through the aftermath. About 25,000 tourists are also riding out the storm.
And it's heading straight towards Cuba and the Bahamas next.
Storm's moving northeast at 8, pressure's up to 950, but it looks like an eye is trying to reform here, so it may re-strengthen a little bit before it finishes and makes landfall here on the east side of Cuba.
They're saying the U.S. will not be directly impacted, that we'll only feel it through dangerous rip currents. I really hope that's true, but this storm has been shifting in unnatural ways since the day it formed. And also, let's not forget what's already been hitting places like Boca Raton.
I would say it is Titanic.
So I'd keep a very close eye on it, but here's where things start to get weird. All of this is happening at the exact same time those so-called experts said a UFO-like object would be passing by Earth.
It will pass closest to the sun on October 29th, 2025. I got a text message the other day from someone who said that he is trading options on the volatility of the market with an expiration date of October 29th in order to make money. And I immediately thought that I don't know if there will be meaning to money if this object turns out to be technological after October 29th. If you want to take a vacation, take it before that date. Because who knows what will happen.
Now they're claiming they can prove what it is by tracking how it moves around the sun.
Another faction, however, says, now, wait a minute. Perhaps this is a visitor, an intelligent visitor from another solar system. And perhaps this week we could have a test of it. That's right. This week, it turns out that the asteroid or comet will be whizzing around our sun. And if it picks up extra energy on its flyby, that would clinch it. That means there's extraterrestrial intelligence involved. So watch for it. On October 30th, starting then, we're going to track it.
Look, I don't believe a single thing they say about UFOs or mystery objects, but I do believe something bigger might be going on. Maybe a test run for Project Bluebeam, a way to see how the public reacts if something unexpected suddenly appears in the sky. So whatever happens next, do not take anything at face value. Question everything. Because the second we stop asking questions, that's when the deception begins. And with that in mind, let me share something with you.
The readout Walter Reed mentioned advanced medical imaging. Did you get an MRI? Can you tell us what that was?
I did. I got an MRI. It was perfect. Yeah. I mean, I gave you the full results. We had an MRI and in the machine, the whole thing. Yeah. And it was perfect. Yeah.
Did you say what in particular?
You could ask the doctors. In fact, we have doctors traveling with us, but I think they gave you a very conclusive. Nobody has ever given you reports like I gave you. And if I didn't think it was going to be good, either I would let you know negatively. I wouldn't run. I'd do something. But the doctor said some of the best reports for the age. Some of the best reports they've ever seen.
Some liberal influencers are now claiming that this proves President Trump is sick. And there is a reason they're saying that, because an MRI isn't routine. Doctors don't just order one for no reason. It usually means they're checking for something. But that doesn't automatically mean he's dealing with anything life-threatening. He's an older man, and like anyone his age, he could be facing some normal health issues. Of course, we can't know for sure. It could be something minor, or it could be serious. But one thing's clear, he doesn't look sick. And that's the complete opposite of what we saw with President Biden, who was having those visible health episodes again and again.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
And yet, the same influencers and people like Gavin Newsom keep telling us Biden was perfectly fine.
So I think for all of us, worry less and do more. We have the opportunity to turn the page. We have the opportunity to put our heads down. We have the opportunity to universally have the back of this president who's had our back. You don't turn your back. You go home with the one that brought you to the dance. 100%. All in, and I was very, very proud that he was able to articulate the work that he has done.
So yeah, it looks likely that President Trump is dealing with something, but the people pointing fingers right now, they're the last ones who should be talking.